Akashvani FM Rainbow.
Akashvani FM Rainbow 101.3 megahertz. Musically yours.
Time's exactly 4 minutes past 6. You're listening to 101.3 FM Rainbow, and this is the Health Hour, and I'm your host, Raj Gunashekar. Well, today we live in a world surrounded with a lot of plastics, and there won't be a day in our lives where we won't touch plastics, especially in our kitchens. So, do we ask some crucial questions as to how these plastics can contaminate our precious food, leading to some terrible health disorders? Well, that's what we will focus on today. We will focus on the effect of plastic-contaminated food and its ill effects on human beings. So to address this, we have a very special guest, Ms. Silky Mahajan, who is a nutrition expert and also a nutrition consultant for various Indian athletes who are competing right now at the Rio Olympics. Silky, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Raj.
Thank you. So today we will deal with the effect of plastic-contaminated foods in human beings. So to begin with, what are the key ingredients of plastics that can interfere or contaminate foods?
Basically, when you talk about plastics, there are different kind of plastics are available in the market. And for these different kind of plastic, different ingredients basically are being used. Like, for example, polystyrene, polyvinyl chloride, polyethylene. So, the standards of plastic industry has given codes to these ingredients. So, if you want to find out which plastic interferes with the food or which not, you always need to see the code, which is mentioned into a triangular form. Either you can see on the bottles or on any kind of plastic containers. So the code, which is 245, is considered to be as a safe, and code which is 367 is considered to be as not safe and very toxic for the human health. And code 1 is relatively safe because you cannot reuse the same plastic again and again.
Very interesting. So how do these plastics contamination occur?
Plastic contamination basically occurs through the chemicals, because when you store any kind of food or put food into the plastics, the chemical leaches out from these plastic bottles or plastic containers, which when goes inside the human body, it affects at the cellular level, which means it affects the DNA of the person. So when it affects the DNA, it makes, more vulnerable to different kind of health issues, maybe infertility or diabetes or any kind of heart diseases also.
Right. And there's a little bit of chemistry coming up. Tell us about bisphenol A, also known as BPA, phthalates, and polybrominated diphenyl ethers, or also known as PBDEs.
Okay, these are the chemicals which are basically used to prepare the plastics. So as you say, BPA is bisphenol A, which is basically used to prepare the hard plastics. You must have seen the water bottle gallons, which is available in the water cooler. So It is basically made up of BPA. And these polybrominated diphenyl ethers and phthalates are basically the chemicals which makes the plastic heat resistant. It means the plastics will not take the fire easily. So these are the plastic which basically belong to the code 7, which means it is not healthy at all. Because the moment your body comes in contact with these kind of chemicals, it starts producing a lot of health effects, like in terms of, for the longer term, you can see that infertility, and you can see hyperactivity of the brain, mental learning, as well as, kids especially are getting a lot of health issues with that, which is basically related to the childhood obesity.
Right. Sure. And also we have something called PET bottles, or also known as polyethylene terephthalate and polystyrene. So what are these?
So PET bottles, you must have heard. PET bottles are very common to use. That you see that PET bottles are available in the market, which basically, as I said, belongs to code 1, which means you can definitely use it, but you cannot reuse it again and again. So this is very important to understand in case of PET bottles. And polystyrene is basically used in the case of plastic cups. Which is available in the market, where people, if you go to any coffee shop, they'll give you coffee into the plastic cup. You will see that it's not seep into the plastic still. So it means that these cups has a, if you keep the coffee for a longer period of time in these cups, the chemical leaches into the coffee. We are not aware of this thing because the taste is not changing.
That's right,
But these chemicals are going into that, which basically further affects the health of the, human being. So you can use it for once, but you should not reuse it.
Right. And one last chemical term, polyvinyl chloride. So what do they do to the human beings?
Polyvinyl chloride, you must have heard in case of pipes.
PVC. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, when PVC comes in contact with the any organic food, it changes its form and formed into dioxins. So dioxins again has a very bad effect on the health. So you can see PVC is usually common uses food packaging, plastic wrap or containers. Okay. The health effects of this is directly to the birth effects. Genetic changes as well as chronic bronchitis also happens if you use too much of PVC products.
Very interesting. Well, plenty of time for a question. So if you got any questions to Mrs. Silky Mahajan, who's a nutrition expert, all you got to do is very simple. Type BGRB. BG as in Bangalore, RB as in Rainbow. BGRB space your question, space your name and shoot it to 560 56060 is the number. And remember, today we are discussing effect of plastic contaminated food in human beings.
आजा आजा जिंद शामी आने के तले आजा जरी वाले नीले आसमाने के तले जय हो जय हो रत्ती रत्ती सच्ची मैंने जान गवाई है नच नच कोयलों पे रात बिताई है अखियों की नींद मैंने फूकों से
Welcome back. 6:14 is the time. You're listening to Health Hour on 101.3 FM Rainbow. We are addressing effect of plastic contaminated food in humans. And with us is Mrs. Silky Mahajan, who is a nutrition expert, is with us on the show. Mrs. Silky, speaking about short-term and long-term effects of plastics on human health. So what do you have to say about that?
Basically, long-term effects can be easily seen because when the plastic gets accumulated in the body, it shows its effects after a quite long period of time. So basically, contamination of plastic causes neurological problems, cancer, birth defects, hormonal changes, which is, you can say, PCOD and PCOS is very common, thyroid problems, as well as cardiovascular issues. So these are the, harmful effects of the plastic is happening to the human body today also.
Right. So the effect of plastic, is it different in men, women, children and elderly citizens, or is it the same?
Basically, if you talk about researches, different kind of researches say that in case of women, the chances of having breast cancer, heart diseases and type 2 diabetes is more. In case of men, these chemicals cause prostate cancer or low testosterone level. In case of children, the more chances of childhood obesity because the chemicals which are present is in these plastics store in the fat cells of the human body. So there are chances of getting childhood obesity also. Elderly people is the same as more prone to get cancer.
Sure. And what about expectant mothers and unborn babies? What effects does it have on them?
In case of expectant mothers and unborn baby, if they consume the water from the plastic, which has a higher source of bisphenol A, so what it does to the body that bisphenol A, when it leaches into the mother's body, it gives insulin resistance. It means that the expectant mother is more prone to get type 2 diabetes as well as gain more weight during the pregnancy. As the mother is pregnant, the same issues is being seen in the case of unborn babies also.
Sure.
In the long term, they are more prone to get type 2 diabetes as well as gain more childhood obesity.
Sure. And who are more very susceptible or vulnerable to plastic contaminated foods?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yes.
It doesn't discriminate the age and gender and anything.
No.
Right. So can plastics actually cause food poisoning?
Food poisoning means contamination of the food. It can be done by any way. So it can be done from the bacteria or it can be done from the chemicals. So if it is happening from the chemicals, yes, definitely plastic causes food poisoning.
Sure. And many people tend to eat hot foods, especially when they take it parcel from the hotels or something. They give it in hot plastic containers. So is it advisable to eat from plastic containers with hot food?
What we need to, always keep in our mind that plastic containers and plastic plates are made up of polyethylene, polyvinyl and polystyrene. these all codes belong to the category which is not safe at all. So we should never have something which is hot from plastic plates as well as the packaging. Because when you go to any restaurant or order food, you will definitely get in the plastic packets. So you cannot avoid it everything immediately. So what precautions you can take, that you can remove immediately the food and put it into a steel container or glass container, so that more leaching of the chemicals is not happening.
Right.
Because when the temperature is on a higher side, there is more leaching of the chemicals is happening into the food. So try to avoid it as much as you can.
Sure. And also some people tend to microwave the food while it is still in the plastic box or a container. So is this advisable?
Yeah, we see in the offices.
Yeah.
Even at home also.
Yeah.
So whenever we prepare food, we keep it in the microwave and hot it.
Yeah.
Generally, what happen in case of if you are using micro-safe products which are safe in the microwave, then definitely you can heat it. But again, not for a longer period of time. For example, Tupperware. Tupperware belongs to the code 5, which means polypropylene, which is safe to use at a higher temperature also, but not more frequently. Because when you are heating something more frequently, as a nutritionist, I will say nutrition loss is happening. Secondly, you are adding more chemicals to your body. So definitely you should avoid it.
Dr. Anil Kumar had a similar question. How safe is Tupperware? So I hope that answers your question, Dr. Anil. Thanks for your message. Well, 6:18 is the time. You're listening to FM Rainbow 101.3. And on our health hour, we have Mr. Silky Mahajan, who's a nutrition expert. And today we are dealing with the effect of plastic contaminated food in human beings. So if you got any questions, all you got to do is type BGRB, space your question, space your name, and shoot it to 56060. That's 56060.
ಹನಿ ಹನಿ ಮಳೆ ಹನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಾಡುವ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳುತ್ತ ಗುನುಗುನಿಸುತ್ತ ನಮ್ಮನೆ ಮರೆಯುವೆವು ಹಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ
ಮಾತಲ್ಲಿ